Good evening to our audience of Oscar El Blue, Border Network News, and every single one, Real America Sports News, the War Room Posse, people from the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Good evening to all of you. How's everybody doing? Pleasure to talk to you guys on this evening, on this February 3rd of 2023. It is complete pleasure to talk to you guys on this evening. Thank you so much for joining in. Share the video, like the video, share the video, hit that bell button on YouTube, hit that like button on Facebook. As censorship, it is one of the biggest things that we are combating nowadays. Bad in every aspect, but we are trying to do the best that we can to say hello to you guys and to basically give you guys an update of what is going to happen in the next incoming days. So, thank you all of you for your great support on this South America trip. Didn't expected that, and you guys did well more than enough. I cannot thank you enough for all the things that you guys have done, and ultimately how you guys have completely supported us in our journeys. As you guys know, Real America's Voice News, Ben Berquam, and myself, we went into the most dangerous place in the world for migrants. That is the Darien Gap. We stay there for the jungle of the Darien. We stay there for 4 days, 3 days walking, 1 day on piragua on a canoe to get out of the Darien. It was really difficult. It was hard. It was one of the hardest tasks that I ever done in my life. And it is for me, absolutely. I can have the same opinion for Ben. I can speak for him because we have been commentating on the same, response and obvious response to our public. It is the hardest task that we have ever done physically, ultimately, possibly mentally. Also, it is devastating what a lot of people go through as these globalist organizations, United Nations, and all these people, NGOs, they push this business to continue. That is a humanitarian business for them. Instead of doing something to avoid for them to not enter the jungle, they promote it. And they are in cahoots with a lot of organizations. So it's sad to see how this has become a humanitarian business for them. We are again going to be traveling again. We This last trip was 18 days, 18 days of consistent documentation, investigation, mutual respect to my colleague Ben Verquam, which he's a strong man. I can tell you that he did a phenomenal job, and all the way he demonstrated strength, and also he demonstrated that he had the character to move forward and to be a leader. I respect him a lot on what he did on this trip. Also, huge thanks and kudos to Mr. Michael Young, that he's a great pillar and inspiration for us. He is the one that set up the plate for us to continue with this exposure of open borders and the mass migration around the world. Also, Mr. Chuck Holton, that has done an incredible job also in exposing the open borders, not only in the continent of America, but also Europe and the Middle East. Chuck Holton goes every, if there's a place that you think that it's impossible, Chuck Holton will be there. So enormous respect for that man, which he opened the doors of his home in Panama for us to stay and rest. Uh, Also, I would like to say to all of you, uh, you know, uh, hold on. I would like to address the public uh, on several other topics. Several other topics. We are going to be traveling soon again, and a lot of people are saying, where is all the video, Oscar? The video, it is already downloaded. And fortunately, we have a lot of people that want to get a hands on our video. I want to thank the network, Real America's Voice News, which Mr. Rob Stig and Mr. Rob Shorts, which they, provided this trip for us to document. Ultimately, the video and that we are going to put out, it is, in a complete appreciation to Real America's Voice News. Ben Berquam did the English version of the Darien Gap. I did the Spanish version of the Darien Gap. I believe strongly that a lot of people in the United States of America uh, need to understand the Spanish language. It is also a language that is in the United States of America. And for a lot of people to understand what is happening, we need to talk to them in Spanish and in our own language, so people will understand directly what we are talking about. We understand that English is the number one language in the United States, but ultimately Spanish is also a language that is a lot to talk about in the United States of America. Latinos, we are a strong force in the United States of America in terms to every labor that you can consider inside of the United States. So for us to do this in Spanish, it is imperative. It is important for people to understand the message in Spanish. The responsibility to do it in English, my colleague Ben Berquam has done a phenomenal and excellent job on explaining every single thing that happened on the trip. He's just touching the tip of the iceberg on the videos that he has released consistently on the network on Real America's Voice News. But ultimately, I did the whole thing in Spanish since I started in Colombia all the way into the borders with Venezuela, the 18-hour drive from Venezuela all the way to the parts of Necoclí, that is the mecca of distribution through boats into the islands or into the villages that connect to the Darien Gap. Uh, did it in Spanish over there, and also we did it in Spanish, the whole travesty and the whole journey inside of the Darien, with multiple interviews with officials, military officials, that they were accompanying us, showing us the truth and the facts, not like the New York Times and all these lefties that they pay coyotes to travel inside of the Darien. We have a lot of video. And, thinking about it as we were coming back home, a lot of people, a lot of journalists, they were consistently approaching me and telling me, Oscar, you should put out a documentary. Oscar, you should do this. Oscar, you should do that. As I'm sitting down more calmly and spoke to, the person that is in charge of my editor, that is in charge of my pages, and ultimately certain journalists that we have talked to and sat down. Yes, we are putting out a documentary that is going to be in Spanish, and also is going to be in English with subtitles in English for people to see it, for people to watch it, for people to understand what we went through and my experience, and ultimately my direction of what it needs to be done. Doctors Without Borders, they want to make a route inside of the Darien Gap. I believe that is one of the most that is what I heard. If that is true and if that is a fact, I believe that is one of the most incompetent decisions that is ever going to be done. The jungle is a jungle. The jungle is not for people to walk. The solution is for create jobs, create a better economy, create better lives in their own country, and ultimately, if they want to migrate to the particular, migrate through the particular correct ways and safe pathways into whatever place you want to migrate. I'm with the idea, and I'm a person that a lot of people don't agree with my ideology of what I think about migration. For me, migrating is a humanitarian right, but also in those humanitarian rights there is laws, and you need to obey the immigration laws for you to obtain your right to migrate, whatever you want to migrate. If you I'm a pro-migrant myself, so I can migrate to whatever part of the world that I want to, but there's laws, and we need to obey those laws. And ultimately, it is a number one priority for people to be, addressing and understanding their necessity in the vulnerable cases. But also, you cannot incentivize the organized crime and create a pathway through the middle of the jungle. That is the most ridiculous solution that I ever heard in my life. The jungle, it is not a safe pathway for no migrants. I can tell you that from my experience. I'm a strong dude. Ben Bergquam is a strong dude. I prepared myself mentally and physically for 6 to 8 months. Uh, Cut down on a lot of weight because we knew what we were getting ourselves into. Um, and and with that physical condition, as I had a good physical condition, I can tell you the jungle will beat you down. And I cannot even imagine doing that without no physical condition, with being lied to, with people telling them that is easy, and it is not hard, and ultimately, consistent abuse that is inside of the jungle. Inside of the jungle is consistent abuse of everything. There's trafficking of people, that it has become a regular daily day basis. Um, Multiple business. Also, the children, they suffer a lot through this journey. And hold on. And it's something that it's extremely dangerous. It is extremely dangerous. It is the most dangerous route that I have ever been in. There's places that I explained on a video. Just a day before, we were supposed to. God knows why He put us that day in particular to go in. A day before, we were thinking about going in. I believe that it was a Sunday, and the biggest thunderstorm in the whole month occurred that day. And the thunderstorm hit the part of the jungle where it initiates in particular. On the next, we didn't go that day. We did go on the next day. And as we were going in the next day, we saw 15 mudslides with multiple trees, gigantic trees, interfering in the middle of the jungle, as we had to go through underneath trees, underneath rivers, uh, you know, through mountains, multiple mudslides, that the space for us to walk, it was just a space of a body. One step and you will fall and you will die. Uh, and God knows why He said, this day no, this day yes. So I cannot even imagine people that migrate when there's a thunderstorm, specifically like that, and it hits you at that particular moment. And what will you do, when you have a child in your back carrying? It's unbelievable. Uh, uh, I'm reading a comment right here. Okay. I'm sorry about that. I got a little bit distracted. There you go. So, the jungle is not a safe pathway for people. It is not. And a lot of people are making a business out of this, humongous business out of this. It is a business in all levels. You cannot even imagine how this has become a humanitarian business for a lot of organizations, NGOs, lawyers. Uh, this is why they don't want it to stop. And I'm not saying stop migration, because you are never going to stop migration. Migration is a right. People are going to continue to migrate. But you are incentivizing for the open border migration to continue. And that is a humanitarian business. It's modern day slavery. These organizations and these people, that they are sucking the teeth of human misery. Really, that's what they are doing. And when you are walking up this mountain, and walking on multiple mountains, and going down on multiple mountains, and seeing people. We walked with migrants for apparently 8 hours in one particular time. You're seeing a mother carrying a child, an infant child, and her hands, and you're like, why are you putting yourself through this? It is really sad, and it is hurtful, and it is depressing, and it is denigrating. It is all levels of human abuse. And for a lot of organizations to say, create a pathway inside the jungle for them to transit, how incompetent are you, really? It is just to create a pathway for you to continue your business, possibly. Uh, there is multiple ways, and the multiple ways are attending them from the initiation of the journey. Do not let them go inside the jungle. The jungle needs to be shut down. That is what needs to be done. They need to shut down the Darien. That is not a safe place for people to migrate. It is not. Multiple people have died. Multiple people have suffered abuse. Multiple people have, have suffered so many ways. And we are going to have so many testimonies with this documentary that I'm going to put in, a testimony of a woman, a migrant woman, being abused inside of the jungle, testimony of people that they are guides and coyotes, also how they make money, testimonies of all types that we're going to have inside of this documentary, that you will be shocked on how this is. This is why the New York Times doesn't want to talk about this. This is why the New York Times went in there. It didn't talk about the enormous contamination that is causing to villages, the infections and the multiple abuse that is occurring inside the jungle. This is why these lefties organizations or lefties networks that they go in there, they don't tell you who they paid to guide them to several different checkpoints in different villages. They don't tell you, oh, this is occurring down in this village. It is affecting the Indians. It is affecting this. It's affecting that. It is a market now. And nobody's talking about that. They don't want to talk about that. They do not want to talk about that. Why? Because that cuts down their business. That cuts down their incentivization for this human misery to continue. And it is not laughable. Really, it's not. There was a point in the third day that I was watching people migrate from Haiti, and there's no words for us to. There's not even a word for me to describe it. Really, there's no words for me to describe a mother going through a river that goes all the way to your neck and holding your child like this. As you're looking at that, you're like, why? Why Joe Biden has created this a safe pathway? This is your safe pathway. And people are going to say, this has been going on for years. I thought that Joe Biden said that he was going to create a safe pathway. Now we know that the man has always lied. The man is lying, and the man is continuing to lie. Alejandro Mayorkas also is continuing to lie. Kamala Harris is continuing to lie. All these people, they're lying consistently. They're consistently lying about the Darien has watered down the flow of immigrants. It is continuing to the Darien. It has watered down in several routes, but not the whole Darien. The Darien is huge. It's humongous. It's just powerful. It's a raw, dangerous jungle. There's around certain hours that you will hear the monkeys, yelling at you to get out. There was a point that on the first day we were sleeping on our hammocks, and there were two coralillo snakes approaching us, and we had to remove them and put them somewhere else. It's just a jungle, man. It's not even something to mess around with. Getting out of the jungle is crocodiles. It's something to not mess around with. And people should not use this route as a route to migrate. It shouldn't be a resource for you to migrate. It is not a resource. This is the problem, that they're making it a resource. And it has become so regular that a lot of the people in the migrants, they feel proud that they say, oh, I went through my child through there and I made it. And it's not a proud moment to say that, brother. Believe me, I'm telling you like it is. You put your child through a place that, I understand your necessity and your human necessity, but no parent should put a child through that. And we actually have video of migrants saying you shouldn't be putting your child through this, of officials from Senafront, that is the border authority of Panama, saying you shouldn't be putting your child through this, of migrants from other entities saying you shouldn't be putting your child through this. The Darien shouldn't be a place to migrate. Simple as that. It is so simple. So simple, but it's promoted and it is incentivized with the pandering of oh my God, it just went through the Darien. Oh my God, this. Oh my God, that. So it is continuing instead of saying, you know what, shut this route down. It is so dangerous. You guys don't even imagine how many people have died in a mountain that is called the Mountain of Death. So many people have died. There was a moment, and on this documentary that we'll be releasing, you guys are going to see a moment that we got stopped in the middle of the mountain because sadly, a migrant from Venezuela had a heart attack of how dangerous this hill goes up, how steep this hill goes up, that the migrant sadly had a heart attack. He passed away at that moment right there, and they had to bury him in that part of the jungle. The sad thing about it is that when I was standing there, the official was telling me this, and he said, look to your right, and then you can actually see the bulk of mud of the body that is still there. God rest his soul, that is still there, buried, as his family, they're trying to, take him out of that particular place and, and remove him from the jungle, but they cannot. It's so much of a problem because the jungle it's a national treasure. It is federal territory. It is so and it has to do with laws of another country trying to extract a body from another. It's so difficult. And as that particular person suffered that, so many hundreds have suffered that. So it is sad to basically go through those journeys. And for people to not understand, people in Congress in the United States of America, to continue with the lies. There was I was hearing something in a hearing in Congress the other day with a judge of El Paso, Texas, Judge Samaniego. My God, you make my stomach turn, man. You make my stomach turn. All these Judge Samaniego, Veronica Escobar, that they know that they don't want to stop this open border, abuse towards migrants. And everybody deserves a better life. Everybody deserves a better life, an opportunity to go to a better country, if it is the United States, whatever you are. But you know that you're incentivizing the organized crime by crossing people through a non-port of entry. And that is occurring. And you're using the justification of, oh, they feel insecure in this place. Oh, they're coming through the Darien. All this, all that. You're not fixing the problem. You're becoming part of the problem. And you're affecting other countries on your way with your open border policies at that. Because what you're complicating is that Mexico cannot, it has already been surpassed by this problem. We can see that. Guatemala, we already seen that is surpassing them. Honduras, they're surpassing them. Nicaragua is only a pathway for people to move to another country. Costa Rica, they're also a pathway as migrants are flowing. But in Panama, in Venezuela, in Cucuta, in the borders with Venezuela, with Colombia, it is a big problem. And you're causing a lot of problems over there with your open border policies. And this administration knows that, but because people and the other governments, they know that it's a humanitarian business, they're not opening their mouths. They're continuing to do whatever they, they, they continue to do. It's just sad to see the humanitarian crisis in Venezuela as you're seeing people come from Venezuela to Colombia to buy food. It's really sad. I have a picture of a child pushing a shopping cart. He was around 7 to 8 years old, pushing a shopping cart from Venezuela to Colombia to go and buy food. That's how communism, it is. That's how communism it is. That is what communism will do to your country. And you have a lot of people in Congress that they want that. They want this disaster. A lot of the people criticize the Venezuelan migrants, the men, that they don't have no job skills, that they don't have this, they don't have that. Before you criticize and before you say that, there is some cards. I will give you 50% of the right to say, and some things I will give you the right, but in other things you need to understand why. And this is why it is so important for the United States of America to fight against this open border policies and also fight against communism. Why? Because in Venezuela, before 1996, Venezuela was one of the most prosperous countries, educated countries in the world. They had the possibility to have every family have 2, 3 cars, have 1, 2, 3 houses. Their economy was excellent, was gorgeous. It was one of the most richest countries that exists in the world. And now you will see people in unfathomable conditions. The value of El Bolivar is nothing. This used to be thousands of dollars. This mil bolívares used to be thousands of dollars. You can ask whatever Venezuelan before 1996 how much was mil bolívares, and he can tell you that. But I will tell you something. Why a lot of these young Venezuelans, they think like this. They think that the government needs to give them, the government needs to provide to them, as you're seeing in New York right now, right? I will tell you why. This is why the United States of America, Mexico, and other countries need to protect our youth. The United States is suffering right now out of this. You have this woke, and you have this woke and communist and socialist new generation. They believe that everything's for all and the government should provide for them. And Venezuela suffered that. And because of that, the educational level was at the lowest. So you create chaos. Your educational system collapses. You don't have an education for the future. You say that the doctor has the same possibilities as a person that is just picking, working as a construction. It is not supposed to be like that. That's why you have an education. That's why people go to college. So young men now started to rely on social programs. Young men now, they're relying on everything that the government gives them. So they don't rely on education. So they start to say, if I'm relying on this, that is a program, that is a social program, that is something that particularly it will give me an advantage to get by on a month. Why should I go to college? Why should I use my education? I should do what? I should go rob. I should do this. I should do that. Chaos. That's what communism will do. So all of these young generations, a big percentage of the young generations of Venezuelans, it is not that they want it to be uneducated, that they don't have job skills. It is the country that is basically promoting this to the world, that this is what we have. This is what communism will do. So you have all these young men that they are coming, military age men, that they say, no, you should give me this, you should give me that, because that is their mentality. That's what they were raised upon. That is what is happening to the United States. Listen up, wake up. It is coming, and it's already there. This is why it was so important to put your young kids to work, to learn how to earn the good old American dollar. Family values, education. This is why the communist countries, they take away the power of the parent, to be the dad, and to be the mother, because they destroy the family circle. If they take away power from the parent, the dad, and they take power from the mother, the mom, they destroy the family circle. So now the one that has the power, who is it? Is the government. It's the state. This is why in all schools, mothers and fathers should have the power ultimately over the children, because it is your child. You're the one that should know what your child is educated upon on. That is the reason why the United States is having this new generation of crystal with pronouns, with you're xenophobic, transphobic, homophobic, pronoun phobic, creating hysteria, fear mongering, conspiracy theories, white supremacists, white imperialism, American imperialism. You're a racist, you're a fascist, you're a bigot. All this, it is created upon a bubble that is a system for you to feel pander, for you to feel like a victim, for you to receive and give me, and not do anything about it because you feel oppressed. You see all these new kids on social media saying, oh my God, I was working 8 hours at a job And I don't know how to handle it anymore because I was seeing a lot of people get over it, Buttercup. There's a lot of people that are working 12 to 14 hours in the land. This is the new generation that is coming to the United States, and it is a copy paste of what happened to Venezuela. It is going to happen to the United States. Sadly, a lot of the young Venezuelan people, they don't know this. So when you're trying to explain to them communism, they're like, hey, our land is our land, but we should do exactly like, no, 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 no. They don't know what happened to their country. If you're talking to people that they lived before 1996, they will tell you we were a strong capitalist country. Strong capitalist country. Venezuela was one of the leaders of the world. Even Cuba, after 1960, before 1960, before Castro, they were one of the most strongest exporters of music and food. Now they cannot even fish in their own sea. All of this idea, sadly, it is, I have walked with a lot of good Venezuelan people, doctors, lawyers, teachers, biologists, all types, good construction workers, good people. But also there's that side of the migrants, what you've seen in New York. And a lot of the Venezuelans, they feel ashamed. The ones that I talk to, they feel ashamed. They say, that is not us. That is not us. We come to work. We come to provide. We come to provide a future, to better the economy of the United States, to get an opportunity. But because there's a saying in Mexico, and it is popular now in the whole world, por uno la pagan todos. Because of one guy that committed a mistake, everybody is labeled as exactly the same. And it is because of that, of somebody else's actions, everybody starts thinking everybody else, it is the same. And sadly, it is like that in our common world. But we need to understand that open borders, it is only a way to destroy a border. Open border agendas, it is only a way to destroy culture, to destroy sovereign nation, to destroy law. Everybody has a right to migrate, but in the right to migrate, there's laws. This is the way it is. And in the right to migrate, there's laws. And apparently, this new agenda, this new way of understanding migration, it is not to respect laws, and it is to put the humanitarian agenda first, on top of constitution, on top of laws, and on top of people. We understand that there's a human necessity that needs to be addressed first. But what happened to addressing the human necessity in their countries? Believe me, 100% of the Venezuelan population, 100% of the Cuban population, 100% of all the people that they have migrated from their country, if you will tell them, if there was a good job provided in your country and the insecurity was not as high as it is right now, would you stay in your country? They will tell you, I would love to stay in my country. The problem is corruption, bad governments, bad decisions from bad politicians. Clear example, Nayib Bukele, president of El Salvador. Have you seen caravans coming out of El Salvador? Have you seen migrants coming out of El Salvador consistently on a daily basis? Have you seen them? No. Why? The man has resolved the problem. Number one problem that he had, insecurity. Taking away the gangs, the MS gang. It was the number one cancer of that country. And the bad politicians and bad decisions that they made for that economy to collapse. What did Nayib Bukele said and did? Get the hell out of here. We're going to clear this country. We're going to make this country great. We're going to secure our people, give them the number one priority to the good working middle class people, lower class citizens, give them, the help that they need so they can move up into a great social class, so they can provide a better life and education to their families, make better jobs, give them security for them not to migrate. It's a clear example of how countries can be fixed. There is a possibility to fix countries. It's just bad governments, bad politicians, bad decisions. Incentivizing people to migrate consistently through the Darien Gap in the jungle, it is the most stupid idea that I ever heard in my life. So your idea of correcting this is to incentivize more the jungle and to incentivize more people to migrate through there so people can suffer? No, create a safe pathway through the jungle, Blue. The jungle is the jungle. Point blank. It will never stop from being a jungle. And it is a federal treasure from the part of Panama and Colombia. Now you want to make it a pathway? Thank you so much for joining in. I have a meeting right now with the young kid that is going to do the documentary in Spanish. I'm excited. I'm excited. Number one reason why, I'm not going to promote him still, but he's a young kid. He's a young cinematographer. That's the way that you say it. Somebody can help me. He studies cinema. He's young, he's hungry, and he wants to make it. And I am excited about it. More excited I am about it because I am speaking in Spanish. And I am going to explain what is going on and what is happening in this journey that we're on. Most importantly, that the network is going to get the exposure that we need. Real America's Voice News, the best network that exists out there. Quick shout out immediately to my brother Anthony Agüero and Naren Cabello, who are great border correspondents from Real America's Voice News. Also, my brother Ben Berquam, and ultimately, everybody in the network that gives us the opportunity to go and to expose what is happening inside of the borders. Cinematographer. Oh, órale, así se dice. Ah, mira qué bien. This is a comment that I will like to address. I'm not here to fight, but this demonstrates the level of poverty and with all respect, the level of poverty in the country. The comment says, why should Americans, first and foremost, it is not Americans. Sir, Matthias, it is not Americans, it is U.S. citizens, United States citizens. Americans, the whole continent, it is the continent of America. So I am an American also. So it is U.S. citizens. First and foremost, to start your statement, why should U.S. citizens learn any other language when the Constitution clearly states this land will speak English? I would like to know if there's any part of the Constitution that says that, first and foremost. And second of all, I will tell you, in Mexico, in all the borders in Mexico, we learn how to speak Spanish. That is the number one language. And also we learn how to speak English. You can look at me. I'm a bilingual reporter and journalist. You're listening to me right now, right? And I'm speaking your language, 80 to 90%. And as you can understand, and we're talking clearly, you and I. And if I start speaking Spanish, you're going to start yelling at the screen and say, hey, speak English. And for your understanding, there is no language listed in the U.S. Constitution. So I would like to know where it is that written in the Constitution, Mr. Matias. But there's a lot of Americans that they live in Mexico. A lot of retired Marines, retired veterans that they live in Mexico, in Panama. And they adapted to our culture and they adapt to our language also. And it is really important that we start learning other languages. It's not imposing that we are going to be, that is going to be our number one language in the United States of America. No, it is adapting to the multicultural language. Of course, the number one language in the United States is English. Ultimately, yes, it is. But the natives used to speak other languages and they adapted to English. So it is, it is nothing more wrong or nothing more good. It's to learn more languages. It's a beautiful thing. It makes you a more understandable human being, more intellectual human being, learning more as a human being, learning more from the world as a human being. And if you don't want to care, and if you don't want to care to learn another language, don't learn it. Don't listen to it. Just be you. Continue to just speak English, and that is it. In other countries, they learn how to speak English and they learn how to speak Spanish. Every country, Americans, Americans basically go to countries in Central America and South America, and they had to learn how to speak Spanish. It is a two-way tool, to learn. And ultimately, now the Latino population in the United States of America has grown so much, and that the Latino vote in the United States of America has grown so much, and that the Latino vote and the Latino population, it is really important in the United States of America because they are the ones that they provide the best labor in the United States. And let's be honest, to all of you that you're watching, it is extremely important to speak in our language. Imagine me talking to you in Mexico and talking to you in Spanish, you as an American citizen or U.S. citizen. Are you going to learn are you going to feel exactly the same way? Are you going to get exactly the same message? If I'm speaking to you in Spanish and you're just learning English, you're just learning Spanish, but your number one language is English, are we going to have the same connection? It is so important that we talked to the people in the languages that they were raised upon and then tell them, hey, you know what, this is what is really happening. It's not imposing a language. It's not imposing somebody else's culture. It is just expanding your brain. Hope that I responded to your uh, comment. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm Oscar Blue for Real America's Voice News. God bless you all. It's really nice to talk to you guys on this morning. I am about to leave. I have to do a couple of things, go and have a couple of meetings with people that we need to talk to. And I think that, it is important for us to give information right now of what is coming in the next incoming days. We're about to travel to South America again. No descanso, yeah. We're about to, God bless, thank you, God, for providing me a job. Thank you, God, for providing me work. Thank you so much, God. We are about to travel again to South America, and ultimately, we will be telling you guys where are we going when we are located. Because of security reasons, we do not tell you specifically the details, but the details will come in the later days. So to another new Central American country. That's what I can tell you. So God bless you guys. We will have a new slogan, t-shirt and hats. That is where I'm going also right now to make these new t-shirts and hats. After I start wearing them, it is going to be one of the new slogans from Oscar Blue for every single one of you. So after I start making them and putting them on, if you guys want to buy some hats and some shirts, it will be up in the market. God bless you, all of you. Thank you, and thank you for your support. I attended a few comments. If you guys want to throw a good comment, something, I will read it. I always read bad comments. You're right, editor. I'm always reading bad comments. Let me read good comments. Go ahead. My friend's son, high school, made a requirement to learn one other language than primarily spoken. Even sign language counted. That's another language that I would love to learn. Sign language. I think that is a beautiful way to connect with other people, and it's a beautiful way. Uh, I miss your laugh. Well, what do you want me to do? I don't know what to say. Karen Holland, thanks, Oscar. No, thanks you. Miss Elsa Cardona comes, says Texas here. Hey, say hello to Texas. Everybody that is right there. The new generation has no idea what wrecked the country. Anyone born after 1998. Well, I think 1998 still has hope. The new ones that they are born in the 2005s and on. My God. Uh, Miss Janet Burns, hi, how you doing? God bless your dear heart. Miss Alma Olvera, Texas here. Hello to everybody in Texas. Great state of Texas. Well, thank you so much. I will say goodbye to you guys. Talk to you guys soon. God bless you. Stay safe. And like we always say, people, peace and love, because always your country's first. God bless.